Have you ever been haunted by an image so raw, so unsettling, that it made you recoil from yourself? You never speak of it. You bury it beneath silence, pretending it was never there, pretending it is not you. And yet, it is you. No matter how hard you try to drown it in distractions, rituals, or shame, it resurfaces. It lingers in the shadows of your unconscious, whispering that you have not yet understood. It is not simply desire. It is not merely pleasure. It is something older, deeper, more primal. It is a cry, a symbol, a wound that has found its own language. A fragment of you frozen in time, held captive in the moment when someone failed to love you in the way you needed. You feel it even when you refuse to look at it. You sense it whenever you are drawn to what you fear, whenever what humiliates you ignites you, whenever the unspeakable becomes the very thing you cannot turn away from. Why are we so often seduced by what terrifies us? Why does shame transform into arousal? Why do images of control, submission, possession, or being possessed take root in the mind like forbidden seeds? These are not trivial games of fantasy. This is not only about sex. It is the unconscious demanding a voice. It is trauma disguised as ecstasy. And perhaps the strangest part is that you believe it is your choice. You believe you desire what you desire freely. But desire is not free. Desire is chained to your emotional history. Your fantasies follow a hidden architecture, a dark logic no one has taught you how to read, because society, education, and religion would rather you remain silent, repressed, ashamed, at war with your own body. So you become both prisoner and jailer, punishing yourself for the very visions that hold the key. Yes, that disturbing fantasy, the one you can barely admit even to yourself, is not meaningless. It is a symbol, and until you learn why you are drawn to what excites you, you are not truly free. Are you certain you want to know? Because what comes next is not meant to comfort you. This video is not here for entertainment. It is here to break something inside you, to shatter the silence you have carried for years, to let you hear for the first time what you have tried so hard to ignore. And be warned, when the unconscious realizes it is being heard, it does not whisper anymore. It begins to roar. For a moment, silence the world. Set aside the voices that tell you what is moral, what is good, what is shameful, what is pure. Listen, not with your ears, but with your body. What your body longs for is not filth. It is sacred. You were simply never taught how to read it. Prepare yourself. We are going down into the place where your darkest fantasies are born. Not to erase them, not to condemn them, but to uncover which wounded part of you created them and which part of you is begging to be healed. At the bottom of that descent, you may finally see it clearly. Desire is not your enemy. Desire is a map. But before we go further, I must warn you one last time. If you watch with a closed mind, with borrowed morality, hoping for validation that what you feel is wrong, then you should stop now. Because here, there will be no excuses, no comfort, no forgiveness, only truth. A truth so intimate, it may terrify you. Do you know what is most unsettling? The desire you hide is not entirely yours. It is a structure, a symbolic response to something you once lost, to something denied to you, to something you never became. You do not crave what you think you crave. You crave what is missing. You crave what your emotional history has left unfinished. Think about this carefully. Every forbidden image that flashes through your mind, every fantasy that unsettles you, carries a message. It is not random. It is the language of your unconscious, trying to tell the story of a wound that never found its words. Your desire is not an accident. It is a compass, pointing toward the places where your history still breathes through you. The shame you feel, the secrecy you live with, the thrill you cannot explain, all of it is part of a map leading back to yourself. You were taught to silence that map, to bury it, to call it wrong. Families, institutions, religions, entire cultures have built systems to make you doubt your body, to make you fear your hunger, to make you feel unworthy of your own feelings. And so you live divided, policing your imagination, punishing yourself for thoughts you never chose. Yet the truth remains, those thoughts did not come to destroy you. They came to guide you. To follow them is not to indulge in corruption. To follow them is to finally listen, to ask why this image, why this symbol, why this particular wound keeps showing up in the theater of your mind. If you dare to trace it back, you might discover that what you thought was your greatest shame is actually the path to your deepest healing. Desire is not here to betray you. It is here to reveal you. If these ideas speak to something hidden within you, stay with this journey. And if you want to continue exploring together, consider subscribing. That way you will not miss the next step into the depths we are about to uncover. Do you see it now? Desire is not just an impulse, it is a theater, a stage where your unconscious writes and directs, while you play both the actor and the audience. But the script is not yours. It was written by your wounds. It was shaped by your emptiness. It carries the voice of the version of you that could never say aloud how devastating abandonment felt. And when that part of you finds no other language, it slips into whatever space it can. It hides in sexuality, in secrecy, in the unspeakable. Desire becomes the one place where the unconscious feels free to express itself without censorship, without rules, without moral judgment waiting to punish it. The question is not simply what excites you. The real question is, what is that excitement trying to tell you? What story is your desire trying to unfold? Think of the images that rise in your mind when you are alone, when no one is watching, when every mask is removed. Sometimes you do not long for a person at all. What you long for is an energy, a gesture, a way of being treated, a sensation you have never been given. So the mind creates it. It gives it a body, a voice, a skin, and you interpret it as pleasure. Yet beneath that surface, it is not only pleasure. It is an emotional cry for help, a plea from within that refuses to remain silent. Desire is the encrypted language of wounds that never learned how to speak. But here lies the trap. The more you repress your true self, the more forcefully the unconscious finds ways to express itself. If your childhood was spent adapting to the expectations of others, your desire will eventually revolt in symbols. This is why we are so often drawn to what contradicts our public identity. Desire does not seek coherence, it seeks compensation. If you have lived your life as the strong one, the one who never cries, perhaps within you burns an unspoken longing to surrender, to be held, to be given permission to let go. And if you have always been obedient, gentle, and compliant, then maybe your desire roars with anger, craving to dominate, to possess, to destroy the very force that once broke you. Do you see it now? Your fantasies are not errors, they are not deviations, they are coded emotional scenes, messages written in a language of symbols. Your unconscious is not insane. It is desperate to show you what you have refused to see, what you have buried so deeply that even you have forgotten. But your body has not forgotten. Your body remembers, and it speaks in its own way, through desire, through impulses you cannot control, through images you cannot fake, through feelings that simply arrive. And here is the most unsettling truth. Most people will never dare to decode their desire. They prefer to hide it, condemn it, medicate it, or punish it. But doing so is like silencing a fire alarm instead of extinguishing the fire. Desire is not the problem. It is the symptom. And if you are willing to listen without judgment, if you begin to translate its symbols, you will see that every impulse, every image, every fantasy leads you directly to the place where something inside you was once broken. And in that exact place lies the doorway to your freedom. The question is, will you step through? Because once you step through, there is no going back. Desire stops being the monster that terrifies you in the night and transforms into a teacher, a guide, a merciless mirror that shows you not what you want, but what you most desperately need. And perhaps, hidden within the very fantasy that fills you with shame, lies the most honest part of your soul, the part that has been waiting a lifetime to be seen without judgment. Are you ready to face it? When healing begins, desire changes. It does not disappear. It does not become more conventional. It does not adjust itself to society's expectations. It shifts its frequency, its texture, its urgency. It no longer rises from the wound, but from the truth. There is a profound difference between desire born out of emotional hunger and desire born out of a peaceful soul. The first is addictive, anxious, blinding. The second is conscious, grounded, expansive. The first consumes you. The second builds you. But to reach that place, you must walk through the hell of your own darkness. You must look directly into the eyes of what has excited you for years and ask, do I truly desire this, or do I need it? Am I choosing it, or am I repeating it? Because yes, desire can also be repetition. Compulsion is the elegant disguise of trauma reenacting itself in a different form. Think of how many people find themselves drawn to the same kind of partner again and again. Their relationships collapse in nearly identical ways. This is not coincidence. It is the unconscious rewriting the story, hoping to change the ending. But without awareness, all it does is replay the beginning. The same is true with desire. If you do not understand it, if you do not pass through it, you will repeat it in an endless loop. And worse, you will mistake that loop for freedom. You will believe you are choosing, when in reality, you are following the emotional script someone else wrote into your body long ago. You are dancing to the rhythm of a pain that has never been healed. But when you finally see it, when you name it, when you find the courage to say, I desire this because I once lacked that, everything begins to shift. Desire removes its mask. What once appeared to be lust reveals itself as tenderness. What once looked like domination is uncovered as a longing for balance. What once frightened you as a dark fantasy becomes a metaphor for the need to be held, to be cared for, to be loved without condition. And this is where the transformation happens. You no longer need desire to fill the emptiness. Desire becomes expression, not escape. You no longer use your body to silence the soul, but to let the soul speak. Be careful though, because this change does not happen instantly. It will not come from watching a single video, or reading one book, or reciting affirmations in front of a mirror. It is a process, a brutal process, a dismantling of identities, a dissolving of fantasies, a journey that forces you to ask questions far more painful than rejection itself. To discover that your desire was never really desire, but compensation, is like peeling off a mask that has fused with your skin. It burns, it hurts, yet beneath it waits a self you have never truly met. And only then can you begin to discover authentic desire. This kind of desire is not born from emptiness, but from wholeness. It does not seek to repair what is missing, but to share what is present. It speaks in silence. It does not scream. It does not demand. It does not pull you against your will. It lives inside you, with stillness, with clarity, with awareness. And here lies the greatest surprise. Authentic desire does not seek gratification. It seeks expansion. It does not hunger for domination or submission. It yearns for union, not out of need, but out of freedom. It is the kind of desire lived not only through the body, but through the soul. And when you taste it, even for a moment, everything before it feels like a performance, like a rehearsal, like an emotional simulation. This is the place almost no one dares to touch, because fantasy itself can be a defense mechanism, a way of avoiding the present. The present is terrifying, because true contact with another person requires vulnerability that few are willing to embrace. And so, the mind escapes. It hides in imagination. It is aroused by what cannot be reached, because reality demands exposure. It demands surrender. It demands looking into another person's eyes and saying, "I am here, without a role, without armor, without a story to protect me." And you know what? Many people would rather return to the safety of a flawless fantasy repeated 1,000 times than risk the unpredictability of emotional exposure. That is why desire does not always want to be fulfilled. Sometimes it only wants to exist, because if it is fulfilled, it ends. And that is where the true fear begins. What comes after desire? Silence, emptiness, intimacy. And it is precisely there that many retreat, because fantasies can be controlled, but intimacy cannot. Intimacy cannot be rehearsed. It cannot be manipulated. It cannot be staged. Intimacy disarms you, and for many, that loss of defense is more terrifying than any wound from the past. To be desired is easy. To be seen is something else entirely. So you turn back. You return to fantasy. You return to control. You return to the rituals that give you the illusion of mastery, because in that place you feel strong, you feel untouchable. But beneath it all, you are only avoiding the abyss of reality. Yet if you choose to stay with that discomfort, if you endure the moment when you have no script, no role, no predictable ending, if you remain in the raw uncertainty of not knowing what to do with your body or your soul, then something remarkable happens. You realize that desire is not the destination, it is the doorway. A doorway into yourself, into a version of you no longer dependent on recognition, control, or the survival masks you once wore. A version that is free, untamed, human, whole. A version that no longer hides its desire because it no longer fears what desire means. Do you want to know the secret? Authentic desire does not shame you. It reveals you. It makes you more yourself. Not more broken, not more impure, more awake, more alive. And once you reach that point, there is no return. Because desire is no longer a chain. For the first time, it becomes a language. A language you can finally speak with yourself, without censorship, without fear, without disguise. And just when you believe desire was the end of the road, you discover it is only the beginning. A signal, a fracture through which your soul begins to release its truth. Here lies the most unexpected turning point. Authentic desire does not only connect you to yourself, it connects you to others. Because when you stop lying about what you long for, when you dare to express it without shame, with awareness, without harming yourself or anyone else, something powerful takes place. The other person ceases to be a tool to fill your emptiness. They become a mirror through which you can share your wholeness. That is when the hardest part begins. To love from your wounds is easy. You seek healing, validation, recognition. But to love from wholeness demands an emotional nakedness more frightening than any physical exposure. It is at that moment, when desire is no longer a need, no longer a mask or a symptom, but pure expression, that you finally gain the ability to choose, not to repeat, not to perform, to truly choose. And freedom begins exactly there, when desire does not pull you blindly but reveals you. So tell me, who are you when no one is watching? Who are you when you are not trying to seduce, to control, to defend yourself? Who are you when you stop hiding behind your fantasies? That version of you, the one that remains when the character collapses, when survival strategies dissolve, is the truth your desire has been trying to reveal all along. Yet you have stared only at the flame, never at its reflection. If you have come this far, there is something you can no longer deny. Your fantasies are not sins, not flaws, not deviations. They are a map, an emotional compass. Desire is not the enemy of consciousness. It is its most faithful ally. Because it does not lie, it never lies. And if you learn to listen without fear, without judgment, without numbing yourself, desire can lead you into parts of your being you never knew existed. So stop hiding it. Stop fighting the very thing that excites you. Stop living as though your soul has no right to speak. Because every time you ignore your desire, you are also ignoring the voice of the child within you who still longs to be heard. And here is the most merciless truth. Often, you do not long for something. You long to be someone. Someone who can feel free. Someone who can love without fear. Someone who does not have to pretend indifference. And that someone can be you. But first you must find the courage to decode what you desire. Not to judge it, not to suppress it, but to reconcile with it. To allow it to return the missing fragments of yourself, because that is the true revolution. Healing is not the end of longing. It is longing reborn through awareness. It is the hunger that rises from a body that has forgiven itself, from a soul that no longer hides, from a heart no longer afraid of being seen. And if this video has shaken you even slightly, if some part of you is trembling right now, do not push it away. What you feel is the crack where light begins to slip in. Listen to it. Nurture it. Write it down. Share it in the comments. In fact, if you have traveled this far with me, I invite you to leave one phrase. A phrase only those who have descended this deep will understand. Write, "Desire is the map." And I will know you did not simply watch this, you lived it. And if this journey has stirred something alive within you, something you did not realize was still there, consider subscribing. Because here, we will not hide the darkness. We will use it as fuel for awakening. For what remains unspoken will rot, but what is faced in truth will transform. I will see you in the next descent, or perhaps in the next awakening. Who can say? The only certainty is that you will not be the same. Be still and listen. Desire still has something left to tell you.